The
Can I
cafe
sit
was
with you?
drenched in late afternoon sunlight, golden and warm, spilling across the worn wooden tables and casting long shadows on the floor. Emily sat alone in a corner, her laptop open but ignored, a half-sipped cup of coffee cooling beside her. She had chosen this quiet spot to escape the apartment's silence, to think without interruption. Yet the hum of life around her only reminded her how alone she felt. Her fingers drummed absent-mindedly on the table as she stared, out the window at the city moving in a blur. And for a moment, she almost missed it, a small figure hovering at the edge of her vision. A little girl, no older than 6, stood uncertainly, her bright yellow polka-dot dress glowing in the sunlight, her tiny hands clutching the straps of a bunny-shaped backpack. The child's gaze met hers, unwavering and oddly courageous, and then a soft voice, delicate yet firm, asked, "Can I sit with you?" Emily's head snapped up, startled. Her eyes darted around, expecting a parent to come rushing forward, an apology ready on their lips. But the cafe remained indifferent, the hum of conversation continuing as if nothing had happened. The girl's hands gripped the backpack tighter. Her small shoulders squared with quiet determination, and Emily felt an unfamiliar tug in her chest. "You want to sit here?" she asked, her voice gentle, almost a whisper. The little girl nodded solemnly and added, "You look lonely." Emily blinked, a laugh escaping her lips before she could stop it, warm and incredulous, because no one, no adult, no stranger, had ever said something so simple and honest to her. She slowly closed her laptop and gestured toward the empty chair. The girl, Lily, climbed into the chair with a delicate care, placing her backpack neatly beside her, sitting upright as if this meeting were of great importance. "I'm Lily," she said, her voice carrying both pride and shyness. "I'm Emily," she replied, smiling despite herself, the heaviness in her chest lightening just a little. What Emily didn't know, as she offered Lily a warm smile, was that this small, unassuming girl was the daughter of a single dad, watching nervously from across the room, silently wondering if letting his little girl approach a stranger was brave or reckless, and entirely unaware that this moment, the simple act of sharing a table, would become the first step in a story none of them could have anticipated. Emily stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, watching the little girl across from her, noticing for the first time the tiny details, the way her small fingers fidgeted with the bunny-shaped backpack, the faint freckle near her temple, the way her eyes lit up when she smiled. Lily, sensing the quiet attention, grew bolder, leaning slightly forward as if she had been waiting for this exact moment. "Do you come here often?" Emily asked, surprised by how easily her voice carried warmth, how naturally she found herself talking to a child she had just met. Lily nodded solemnly, her pigtails bouncing slightly. "Sometimes. Daddy likes it when I pick a new cookie." Emily laughed softly at that, imagining a tiny girl negotiating her own sweet treat with a patient, loving father. It was only then, when Emily's gaze shifted across the cafe, that she noticed a man sitting a few tables away, his eyes fixed on Lily with a mixture of caution and relief, a single dad quietly assessing whether his daughter's boldness would end safely. Emily didn't know him, and he didn't intervene, trusting Lily's instincts, trusting that her choice to approach a stranger wasn't reckless, but perhaps a rare spark of intuition. "Do you want to sit closer?" Emily asked gently, and Lily's eyes widened with gratitude. She scooted her chair forward, and the little laughter that escaped her reminded Emily how long it had been since she had shared a light moment without expectation. For a few fleeting minutes, the world outside, the work emails, the deadlines, the loneliness faded into the background. Emily shared stories of her childhood, of favorite books and silly mistakes, and Lily, in her innocent way, listened intently, occasionally giggling, occasionally asking questions that made Emily pause and smile. And while they spoke, the single dad across the room felt an unexpected relief, realizing that sometimes letting his daughter reach out to someone new could bring warmth and connection he had almost forgotten existed outside their small world. Neither Emily nor Lily knew how fragile and fleeting these moments could be, nor did they realize how this simple act of shared company would ripple into the lives of 3 people, forever changed by a tiny girl's courage to ask, "Can I sit with you?" Emily and Lily had been talking for nearly half an hour, the cafe around them fading into soft, background noise as stories and laughter filled the little corner of sunlight they now shared. Emily had forgotten how effortlessly a child's presence could brighten a room, how a small voice could break through the walls of routine and solitude. Lily's questions were curious and unfiltered, ranging from favorite colors to why adults sometimes looked so tired, and Emily answered with a warmth she hadn't realized she still carried inside. Then, as Lily reached for her half-eaten cookie, Emily's gaze shifted toward the other side of the cafe, and for the first time, she truly noticed him. The man sitting quietly a few tables away, watching Lily with a mixture of anxiety and admiration. His eyes met hers for a brief moment, and she saw something unspoken there, a protective love, a quiet fear, and a hope that his daughter's boldness would be rewarded, not punished. Emily's chest tightened slightly, the realization dawning on her slowly. This little girl wasn't just any child. She was someone's whole world, someone whose life had already been shaped by love, challenge, and sacrifice. Before she could speak, Lily chirped, "Daddy says I should always be brave," and the man rose, approaching with tentative steps, unsure if he should interrupt or trust the unfolding connection. "Hi," he said softly, a little out of breath but smiling. "I'm Michael, Lily's dad. Thank you for letting her, for being kind to her." Emily smiled, a mix of surprise and warmth coloring her words. "She came right over. I couldn't say no." Michael's gaze softened as he looked at Lily, and then at Emily, realizing that this stranger's kindness had allowed his daughter to shine, to be herself without judgment or fear. Emily, Lily, and Michael sat together, the three of them forming a quiet triangle of understanding and new beginnings. The little girl giggled at a shared joke. Emily felt the emptiness in her chest lighten, and Michael realized that sometimes life's smallest moments, an innocent question, a willing smile could lead to the strongest bonds. And in that sunlit corner of the cafe, none of them had expected that a simple, heartfelt question, "Can I sit with you?" would mark the start of a connection that would quietly, profoundly change all their lives.